is trying to provide some clarity coming from the Sergeant Arms, trying to put forth.
However, this is the fourth annual message.
And the Speaker has just provided the clarity, the fourth annual message. The Chief Clerk will now respond whether they've constituted a quorum. And so the Chief Clerk of the House of Representatives is Madam Maitre Sayan, responding.
Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, President of the Liberian Senate, Honorable Albert S. Chair, President Pro Tempore of the Liberian Senate, Honorable Councillor J. Fonati Kofa, Deputy Speaker of the Honorable House of Representatives, Honorable Dr. Buffer Chambers, Speaker of the House of Representatives, and presiding officer of this joint legislative section. I'm honored to announce to you that there is a quorum for the transaction of this joint legislative business for the sole purpose of receiving His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah, President of the Republic of Liberia, to deliver his fourth annual message to the people of the Republic of Liberia. I so submit.
The Chief Clerk of the House of Representatives confirming that yes, the legislature has constituted a quorum for the sole purpose of the fourth annual message of His Excellency President George Weah.
Motion to be
the
made by a movement.
Is requesting the motion. The motion invite.
We recognize Honorable Akaras Gray of the
Moses Gray
Honorable
of
House of
District
Representatives.
8, Montserrat County, Chairperson, House Committee on Executive will make this motion.
Of this joint legislative assembly, our distinguished Vice President, Chief Weah'S, our distinguished President Pro Tem Albert Che, members of the legislature, our distinguished Chief Justice and members of the Supreme Court bench,
Order sustained.
our distinguished Deputy Speaker, fellow colleagues, with Article 33 of the Liberian Constitution, providing that whenever the House of Representatives and the Senate meet in a joint session, the presiding officer of the House of Representatives shall preside. And in fulfillment of Article 58 of the Liberian Constitution, that calls for the fourth working Monday of January of each year, that once in a year, the President of the Republic of Liberia must present his administrative, legislative program and make a report to the National Legislature on the state of the Republic, backed by the presentation on the economic condition, looking at expenditure and income. I move, if I can obtain a second, that this legislature convene in a joint session for the sole purpose of the execution of Article 58 of the Liberian Constitution if I can obtain a second.
Can we have a second?
By Representative Akaras Moses
We
Gray.
recognize Honorable
And the Speaker
Youngly Kanga Lawrence
has
of
just
the Liberian Senate.
recognized Grand Bassa County Senator Nyomli Kanga Lawrence, who will second this motion.
Mr. Speaker and members of the House of Representatives, Madam Vice President, President Pro Tempore, and my distinguished colleagues, I, Senator Youngly Kanga Lawrence, Senator for Grand Bassa County, do hereby second the motion.
Grand Bassa County Senator Nyomli Kanga Lawrence
Honorable distinguished colleagues,
has
you
just
have heard the
seconded the motion
without restating same. Are you ready to vote?
to allow both houses, that's the
All
Liberian
those
Senate
in
and the
favor,
House of
make it known
Representatives,
by saying aye. Those
convene
against,
in
make it known by
this
saying
joint
nay.
section for the sole
Those
purpose
abstain?
of the honored message of President George Weah.
The aye carry. Therefore, this
And so the motion
process shall commence
has
as
been
we will
passed.
be entertaining His Excellency
This is
Dr.
the ELBC,
George
the also
Weah.
broadcast team here at the National
I
Legislature.
will respectfully request the Joint Committee on Executive of the Honorable Liberian Senate and an Honorable House of Representatives, along with the Sergeant at Arms of the Honorable House of Representatives, to proceed to the main entrance of the Capitol building to escort His Excellency President Dr. George Weah into these secret chambers, the William R. Talbot Joint Assembly Chambers, to deliver his annual message. So we ask that the Joint Committee proceed to escort the President into these chambers.
And is hereby ordered by the Speaker of the House of Representatives and presiding officer of this joint session, mandating both committees, that's the executive committees from the Liberian Senate and the House of Representatives, inclusive of the Sergeant at Arms, to go out to escort His Excellency President George Weah into this joint chambers for the sole purpose of delivering his 4th annual message. And I'm being joined now by my colleague, Cecilia Clark. Welcome.
Thank you, Yeager. As you heard from my colleague, Yeager, the Joint Committee on Executive, along with the Sergeant at Arms, is already out. They go already out of the building, going at the entrance of the Capitol to receive the President of the Republic of Liberia. And Yeager, this is the proceeding towards the annual message, because I think when he comes, he will just mount the podium and begin his message. Am I right?
Obviously, yes, there will be no time that the President will sit. As soon as the President is here, he will certainly pick up with his message to the public. So we expect that in split seconds.
Okay. So right now the Armed Forces of Liberia band is playing instrumental as the legislature, members of the legislature awaits the President of the Republic of Liberia. I see from where we sit, I see members of the diplomatic corps, the international community, they are all here present. It's a full house with the judiciary also present, well-wishers. The media is in full here from various institutions. We are all here to provide coverage from this annual message.
Of course, yes, as Cecilia started to recognize some of the dignitaries gracing this occasion in the audiences, the Inspector General of the Liberia National Police, Conan Patrick Sudu. I also see the immigration boss, that's the head of the Bureau of Immigration and Naturalization, Robert Booty, also in attendance. The head of the chiefs and elders of the Traditional Council of Liberia, Chief Zanzan Carol, that's in attendance. And like you said, from the onset, the U.S. ambassador and his entourage, Michael McCarthy, they are seated as part of this occasion. But it's a well-organized occasion, Cecilia.
Yes, and everyone is fully masked. As you can see from here, there's no joke as it relates to upholding the COVID-19 protocols. Because even the nurses, there are nurses posted here giving all masks, and you have to have your hands sanitized before entering. But I saw Honorable Bill Twawe entering as I was entering this building. Like I said, maybe because I saw him out, because they are here fully masked, so we won't be able to call names.
At the far back is Cultural Ambassador Julie Andy.
Where is she? Yeah, okay. I'm seeing her, and I'm also seeing the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. He's sitting right. Is that Rosalind?
Yes, Representative Rosalind Swai Dennis is also in attendance.
Yeah, and I see members of the Liberian Senate. And
yes,
just before in the Liberian Senate, like you heard, she seconded the motion from Honorable Akaras Gray, the motion to receive the president here today. It was seconded by Grand Bassa County Senator Yomli Kanga Lawrence.
And so this is the All-Star broadcast team of the Liberia Broadcasting System. We'll bring you a full coverage of the fourth annual address of His Excellency President George Weah, the Armed Forces of Liberia Band, providing a prelude or some musical interlude here in the joint chambers of the legislature for the sole purpose of President Weah's delivery of his fourth annual message. Cecilia Clark, Lockwood Yeager, and of course members of our OB team here bringing you full coverage of the event. Very shortly, the above committees will escort the President of the Republic of Liberia, Dr. George Maned Weah, to this joint chamber for the sole purpose of delivering his fourth annual message. And so this is it. I hope you stick and stay if you're following us via the radio or you're kind of monitoring us from your television. This is the Liberia Broadcasting System, the national television, also bringing you coverage of the activities here from the joint chambers of the legislature. Thanks to the management team. Initially this afternoon we had a panel discussion outdoor headed by the Deputy Director for Rural Broadcasting, R.C. Guys and Red, trying to retrospect on the achievements of His Excellency President George Weah. I know many of you know about the street lights in Monrovia and its environs. And so we expect the President to be here to talk more as part of his legislative deliverables or so to the national legislature and what's expected in the coming years or so. So we are still here bringing you full coverage of this event. As soon as the President is here, we will go to the platform to bring you the message. And so my colleague Cecilia Clark is monitoring to know whether members of the executive committees from both houses have returned. And so as soon as we hear the armed forces of Liberia play the bang, briefing, the Sergeant at Arms at the House of Representatives, General Martin Johnson,
to you the arrival of the President of the Republic of Liberia.
Has just announced the arrival of His Excellency President George Weah. He moves on wearing a face mask. Is it a black or blue coat suit?
It's a blue coat suit.
With a white shirt.
With a white shirt and a maroon tie with a dotted blue and maroon dotted. And he's being flanked by securities, and they are ushering him where he is supposed to go to deliver the State of the Nation address. I see a huge presence of security, of course, and everyone is standing up as the president walks in. So this is it, and he has walked to the podium.
Of course, yes. The national anthem.
Please be seated.
Madam Vice President, President of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Pro Tempore, honorable members of the legislature, Your Honor, the Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court and members of the judiciary, the Dean and members of the Cabinet, and other government officials, the adorned excellencies and members of the diplomatic corps, Your Excellency, the special representatives of the Secretary General of the United Nations in Liberia, the officers and staff of the United Nations Mission in Liberia, the Chief of Staff and men and women of the Armed Forces of Liberia, former officials of government, traditional leaders, chiefs and elders, political and business leaders, religious leaders, officers and members of the National Bar Association, labor and trade union, civil society organizations, members of the press, special guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, fellow Liberians. In fulfillment of my official duty under the mandate of the Article 58 of the Constitution of Liberia, I'm here again to present the administration legislative program for the ensuing 4 sections of this honorable legislature and to report to you on the state of Liberia. I'm further mandated to present the overall economic conditions of the nation, which should cover both expenditure and income. I want to congratulate all new senators and representatives who were elected to this august body from the senatorial and by-elections held on December 8, 2020. Congratulations. Some of you have retained your seats, while others are new to the Capitol building. I want to urge each of you to diligently perform the tasks for which our people have elected you. I pledge my commitment to working with all of you so that together with our collective efforts, we will serve the Liberian people well. Welcome back from your annual recess as you begin the 4 sections of constructive dialogue and deliberation in the supreme interest of the Liberian people. I look forward to working with you in a spirit of collaborations and cooperation that we have always enjoyed. However, before I proceed further, I would like to offer my sincere condolences to you for the sad and timely passing of 2 of your members during your recent annual test session, namely Honorable Muna Ipena of District 9, Moserado County, and Honorable J. Namwislo of District 2, Sano County. May their soul rest in perfect peace. Mr. Speaker, I would like to applaud this honorable body for the collaboration that we enjoy during our test session, which culminated in the passage of 26 pieces of legislation, 25 of which were signed by me in support of the proposed agenda for prosperity and development. Thank you also for your ratification of several financing agreements which seek to revitalize our economy and create jobs for our people, while at the same time strengthening our relations with our multilateral partners. Our administration also issued 6 executive orders to address national concern during the period under review. In the interest of time, a listing of these new acts, agreement, and executive order is attached as an appendix to this annual message. Mr. Speaker, we want to remind you that there are bills pending before you that are important to the developmental agenda of the government. As you begin this fourth session of the 54th legislature, we urge you to kindly consider the autonomous passage. The Whistleblower and Witness Protection Bill, the Anti-Money Laundering, Terrorist Financing, Preventive Measures, and Proceeds of Crime Act 2019, a revised public health law of Liberia, the Conventions of Mutual Administrative Assistance in Tax Matters, an act to establish the Liberia Standard Authority, an act to establish the Civil Service Commission, the revised and restated charter of the University of Liberia, the International Solar Alliance Framework Agreement, the Maritime Zones Act 2020, and an act to endorse the National Youth Policy of Liberia and Agenda for Action. Honorable members of the 54th legislature, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in an effort to upgrade the National Anti-Corruption Framework, broad consultation are ongoing with stakeholders such as the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, the General Auditing Commission, the Ministry of Justice, and the Judiciary Branch of Government. I will therefore be submitting bills to amend certain restrictive judiciary laws, as we have realized that there are processes which not only require the actions of the legislative branch, but also require the cooperation agreement of the judiciary branch, meaning the Supreme Court of Liberia. Of course, may have been amended to allow for extended terms and for the grand jury to be seated for the full terms of court. I will also submit a bill to amend the Domestic Violence Act and other laws to provide enhanced protection for victims of sexual and gender-based violence. Additionally, a bill will be submitted to you to empower young people in an effort to improve their skills through a TVET program. I will also forward for your urgent attention and subsequent ratification the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which was signed in Kigali, Rwanda in March of 2018. This agreement is a milestone achievement for Africa in terms of the promotion of trade among citizens of African Union. Madam Vice President and President of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President pro tempore, and members of the 54th Legislature, I am mandated by the Constitution to report to your august body on the state of the Liberian economy, which shall cover expenditure as well as income. Accordingly, total revenue for the calendar year under review was $653.9 million US. This amount comprises $475.5 million US in domestic revenue and $178.4 million US in external resources from our development partners. Total expenditure for the same period amount to 606 million United States dollars. In the period under review, the National Legislature recast the 2019 and 2020 national budget twice. First, to address perceived revenue challenges, and secondly, to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. The first recast took the national budget from $525.9 million US dollars to $505 million US dollars. The COVID recast subsequently increased the national budget to $518 million United States dollars. The government spent the amount of $518 million US dollars for the fiscal year 2019 and 2020, and carried forward the cash amount of $7 million US dollars for enactment in the 2020-21 national budget, which the national legislature subsequently passed at an amount of $570 million United States dollars. The United States Agency for International Development, the USAID, and the government of Liberia signed a development objective grant agreement of $640 million United States dollars that will be programmed to support various projects that the government of Liberia and USAID will agree on as priority areas of needs over the next 5 years. These resources are supporting key sectors and will be critical to sustain growth going forward. Also, during the period under review, a total amount of $399 million were announced and committed to various projects as official development assistance to the government and people of Liberia. Additionally, the amount of $178.6 million was received as total budget support, which came from both traditional and non-traditional partners, including the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the European Union, the African Development Bank, and the United States government through the United States Agencies for International Development, USAID. Honorable members of the 54th Legislature, a major feature of the year under review was a support program which was approved by the International Monetary Fund in December 2019. A memorandum of economic and financial policy was signed with the IMF to address various issues of our macroeconomy. The program aimed to transform fiscal and monetary policies and improve public sector governance. The first and second review of the program have now been concluded, and results show that our macroeconomic stability is being restored under the program. In approving a recent disbursement of $48.8 million United States dollars to the government of Liberia on the IMF supported program, the executive directors of the IMF praised the government of Liberia for the effective measures that have been undertaken so far to transform fiscal and monetary policy and restore macroeconomic stability. In their comments, the IMF executive directors noted, and I quote, "The Liberian authorities are committed to fiscal discipline and further improvement in cash management, transparency, and accountability in spending, and domestic revenue mobilization to finance their development agenda. The monetary policy stance is appropriately aligned with the inflation objective, and significant progress has been made in strengthening central bank independence." Unquote. Mr. Speaker, this year Honor Review has also shown our commitment to continue to improve governance and our determination to fight against corruption. In September of 2020, Integrity Institutions convened an anti-corruption conference which deliberated and presented a clear anti-corruption roadmap. The roadmap recommends that the government amends the Act of 2008, creating Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission to give the LACC top-rate prosecutory powers and the mandate to administer the asset declaration regime across the 3 branches of government. Within this amendment, the LACC will no longer need to await the Ministry of Justice to take cases under investigation to court. The amendment relating to the asset declaration regime will also give LACC the authority to ensure compliance. The roadmap further recommends amending the judiciary law to create a dedicated corruption and related financial offenses code to be known as Criminal Code F. Finally, the roadmap stresses the importance of passing both the Whistleblower and the Witness Protection Act. Mr. Speaker, these are the key recommendations that came out of the stakeholder consultations on the fight against corruption. I appeal to the Honorable National Legislature to endorse these recommendations and act swiftly. These actions and legislation will advance the institutional fight against corruption to which our administration remains fully committed. Honorable members of the 54th Legislature, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Liberia's total stock of public debt at the end of 2020 amounts to $1.580 billion US. Of this amount, domestic debt amounts to $643.39 million, while external debts amount to $940.93 million. At end December 2019, the total stock of public debt stood at $1.28 billion. of which domestic debt amounted to $419.8 million United States, while external debt amounted to $862.87 million United States dollars. This increase in domestic debt stock is mainly because of the restructuring and consolidations of the government's debts to the Central Bank of Liberia. It includes $170.63 million United States dollars that was contracted by the previous administration but never included in official debt statistics. This irregularity has now been corrected. The repayment on our domestic debt stock has been structured under the current IMF-supported economic program. The government is now working to validate the stock of other domestic debt. While this work is ongoing, payments on domestic debt have commenced as a means of stimulating the economy. The government remains committed to servicing domestic debt as a clear strategy towards stimulating growth. Mr. Speaker, in the wake of low public confidence in the Central Bank of Liberia, and by extension, the banking system, the Board of Governors and management of the bank were reconstituted by me during the year under review. Additionally, the amended and restated CBA Act of 1999, which was passed by the National Legislature in October 2020, has strengthened the operational independence of the bank and improved transparency and accountability in its operation. Honorable members of the 54th Legislature, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the year 2020 was challenging for the Liberian economy. Real GDP growth projections were further revised downward to -3%. For 2020, from the earlier projection of -2.5%, reflecting a decline in economic activity, largely due to prolonged lockdowns at homes, restrictions on international travels, disruptions in supply chains and international trade, and the second wave of the pandemic now seen in several countries, including Liberia's major trading partners. Although the impact of the pandemic on the mining and manufacturing sector was limited, the service sector, especially the hospitality subsector, was severely hit due to the lack of international travelers. This year, the economy is projected to grow by 3.2% on account of expected growth in all major sectors of the economy, as well as favorable global developments. But recovery of the economy will depend on the persistence of COVID-19. However, recent news about productions of vaccine for the prevention and treatment of the pandemic is a positive development which will fast-track global post-COVID recovery. Mr. Speaker, during the course of the year, the policy of my government was significantly focused on protecting the purchasing power of our low-income population by aggressively fighting inflation, which reduced from about 30% at the end of December 2019 to about 12% at the end of December 2020. We continue to work aggressively on the goal of price stability so that our people will feel the benefits of macroeconomic reforms. In the last quarter of 2020, developments in the foreign exchange market were relatively favorable as the Liberian dollar recorded persistent appreciation compared to other countries in the Weah'S region, whose currency wildly depreciated. Despite the printing and delivering of $4 billion Liberian dollars in July 2020, the economy was challenged by difficulty to access Liberian dollars in the financial sector, largely reflecting about 40% rate of mutilations of the existing Liberian dollars banknotes in circulation. In addition, the liquidity pressure on the Liberian dollar was aggravated by increasing demand for the local currency, induced by many players in the economy, such as mobile money agents, large numbers of ATM cards holders, and foreign exchange bureaus. In view of this situation, the Central Bank of Liberia has informed me that it is seeking authority from the National Legislature to print a new family of banknotes, as it is the responsibility of this august body to grant such approval under the advice of the Central Bank. Mr. Speaker, members of the 54th Legislature, I respectfully call upon you, honorable ladies and gentlemen, to act swiftly to resolve the situation before the next season of high demand for cash. In the face of this liquidity situation, and while we endeavor to encourage our citizens to sustain their wider use of mobile money for transactions, the executive will intensify consultation with the National Legislature to pursue currency reform with the aim of promoting monetary policy credibility and enhancing confidence in the economy. In the current environment in which the CBL does not have control over the more than 90% of Liberian dollars which are outside the banking sector, the effectiveness of monetary policy is undermined. Our goal is to reset the foundation of monetary policy. Given the importance of the central bank to our economy, we will further employ the national legislature to help to strengthen its institutional independence in line with the international accepted norms. Madam Vice President and President of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President pro tempore, and members of the 54th Legislature, the most significant factor that negatively impacted the Liberian economy during the year under review was the coronavirus pandemic, which has afflicted tens of millions of people in all nations. Liberia has not been spared. The impact of this global pandemic, which started in late 2019 and spread across the world in 2020. Liberia recorded its first case in March 2020, and as of today, we have confirmed 1,927 total cases, with 1,722 recoveries and 109 active cases. We have recorded 84 deaths. We have also recorded 84 deaths, with only 13 deaths occurring in treatment facilities. In honor of the memory of those who have fallen to the pandemic in our country and of the millions who have perished around the world, it is only fitting that I propose a moment of silence. Thank you. May their soul rest in perfect peace, and may light perpetual shine upon their souls. Honorable members of the 54th Legislature, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the three branches of government have coordinated quite well to deliver a strong national response to COVID-19. It can be recalled that I established a special presidential committee on the COVID-19, the SPACO, which brought together the Ministry of Health, the National Public Health Institution, and the other development partners and stakeholders to drive the fight against COVID-19. Prior to its first case of coronavirus, Liberia was probably the first country in Africa to begin to quarantine travelers from COVID-19 infected countries. The health authority also launched massive testing and contact tracing programs that have proven quite successful. To date, Liberia has 1,636 infections and more than 1,360 persons have recovered from COVID-19, with 13 persons dying in the treatment facility. These numbers represent one of the best COVID-19 responses in the world. Thanks to the proactive leadership of national government, working together with development partners and other stakeholders, Liberia's leadership in containing the COVID-19 virus has been globally recognized. For example, the former head of the United States Center for Disease Control has recognized Liberia as best at learning from recent pandemics. He wrote recently in the Wall Street Journal, and I quote, "Liberia hard hit by the Ebola pandemic in 2014, was one of the first countries to start screening for COVID-19 at airports and to adapt other control measures such as rapid testing, complete contact tracing, and quarantine, unquote. This recognition and praise is reserved for the thousands of medical practitioners, doctors, physician assistants, nurses, midwives, and all other categories of healthcare workers from all over Liberia. We owe them an internal debt of gratitude that we will never be able to repay. They are our heroes and heroines, and we say thanks to them from a grateful nation. Honorable members of the 54th Legislature, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have held together as a country throughout the pandemic, and with the support from our development partners, we have mounted an effective response. Let me use this opportunity to thank all of our development partners for their strong COVID-19 support to the government and people of Liberia, through both direct budgetary support and indirect support. The international community has rallied to Liberia's defense and continue to be a reliable ally in our struggle to protect our citizens from this deadly disease. From the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to our partners. In the period review, honor review, the government received direct COVID-19 budget support of $87 million from the International Monetary Fund, $14 million from the African Development Bank, and $10.8 million from the European Union. These budget support resources were received over the previous and the current fiscal year and were intended as general budget support to help sustain government revenue. To date, the total money directly spent on the national COVID-19 responses under the control of the Ministry of Health and the National Public Health Institution is $6 million, which was transferred by the government of Liberia through the national response. The General Auditing Commission is currently auditing this expenditure. Besides the direct spending by the government, a little more than $20 million has been contributed indirectly by development partners to the national COVID-19 response. Of this amount, the World Bank has contributed $17 million and the World Health Organization and the United States Center for Disease Control have contributed $3 million. The General Auditing Commission is also auditing this indirect expenditure also as part of the total national COVID response effort. These resources are going to support a 23-bed National Infectious Disease Center, with an additional 74 bedrooms quarantine facility located at the free zone on Bushra Island. Additionally, the government was able to procure 15 ambulances, one for each county, 1,200 hospitals and ICU beds and monitors, 120 motorcycles, 20 ventilators, and other consumable, and also constructed an IV flow and oxygen plant. These resources are also supported compensation for health workers. We also thank the many private institutions and commercial banks who have provided financial support. As a country, we will forever remain grateful. Honorable members of the 54th Legislature, the government developed its legislative program that provided some relief for our people and kept the government running under these very difficult circumstances. During the year under review and in response to COVID-19, the National Legislature approved in April 2020 a state of emergency and provided stimulus support as part of the national budget. As amount of 25 million United States dollars were approved for food distribution to provide food relief to Liberians throughout the country. The World Food Program was selected to implement this food distribution program, and the 25 million US dollars was transferred to them. To date, according to the WFP, more than 40% of the food has been distributed to 10 counties, benefiting about 1 million Liberians. 5 counties, Sano, Reboji, Lofa, Grand Cru, and Bapolu, are yet to receive their respective supply. We're waiting. The government has signed a no-cost extension with the WFP to complete the food distribution by end of March 2021. The government also provided support to the Liberia Electricity Corporation and the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation for household electricity and water relief. Nearly 1 million United States dollars was provided to the Liberian Electricity Corporation to fund COVID-19 electricity subsidies, which benefited nearly 38,000 households across Mosurado, Mangibi, Nimba, Maryland, Grand Gila counties. This means that around 188,000 Liberians benefited from the government-funded electricity program. The government also provided 1.5 million United States dollars to the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation to fund water subsidies for almost 5 months, benefiting nearly 10,000 households from a targeted network base of 12,000 households. This means that 83% of the targeted base, or almost 50,000 Liberians benefited in Mossorado County, Grand Bassa, and Mount Gibi counties. The legislature also provided the amount of $2 million for market women and petty traders support. This amount has been placed in escrow at the Central Bank of Liberia. The government is also working with the United States government through the United States Agency for International Development to deliver $10 million under a COVID-19 cash transfer program to about 85,000 petty traders, market women, and other vulnerable Liberians trading in the informal economy. The government has agreed to underwrite the cost of providing biometric identification cards to these 85,000 Liberians. The distribution of the government $2 million will greatly benefit from enrollment under the USAID supported program, since it may avoid duplication of payments to the same individuals. The government of Liberia has also extended COVID-19 related relief to healthcare workers and private school teachers. The amount of $2 million was budgeted and has been paid to healthcare workers as part of the hazard pay. The government has also provided $1 million to the Ministry of Education for private schools teachers throughout Liberia. This payment is through a digital platform and is presently ongoing. We thank all our development partners for their strong support for Liberia and wish to inform this honorable legislature that we continue to work with all our partners to ensure that these resources deliver ever stronger results. The expenditure of these resources is aligned with the government proposed agenda for prosperity and development, will be critical in supporting growth and transformation across key sectors of our country. Mr. Speaker, although 2020 was a difficult year, the COVID-19 challenge did not prevent the government from working for its people. Though the proposed agenda for prosperity and development has been impacted by both recent macroeconomic shocks as well as by COVID-19, the work under the PAPD continues. Government has developed a recovery plan, and some aspects of this plan are in motion. The key focus is to continue infrastructure development and continue policy reforms in sectors such as tourism and agriculture. In agriculture, the goal is to empower smallholder farmers with resources, inputs, and markets. In infrastructure such as roads and electricity, the goal is to continue delivering on major projects. These developments and investments will sustain the positive growth outlook for 2021 and for the medium term. We will continue our reforms in 2021 and push to achieve growth and grow jobs across key sectors of our economy. And so, Mr. Speaker, although the state of our economy is challenged, the fundamental remains sound and strong. The soundness and strength is based on the very hard work we have delivered over the past 18 months. Madam Vice President and President of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Pro Tempore, and members of the 54th Legislature, now that I have discharged my statutory duty under Article 58 of our Constitution, I would like to speak directly to you, my fellow Liberians. My fellow Liberians, just 3 days ago, January 22nd, 2020, was the 3rd anniversary of my inauguration as President of Liberia for his 6-year terms. This is therefore the midterm of my tenure, and it is the time that we review our progress and achievement made thus far, and recalibrate where necessary to ensure that we achieve the goals of our National Development Plan, the Pro-Po Agenda for Prosperity and Development. Which is based on the platform upon which you elected me to this high office. First of all, let me reaffirm that road connectivity continues to be the flagship of my programs, which is intended to serve as a major catalyst for national development. It is important that all of the 15 counties in Liberia should be interconnected by modern roads. This entails the construction of approximately 500 kilometers of paved primary roads, as well as the maintenance of approximately 4,000 kilometers of urban and secondary roads. In this regard, considerable progress has been made, in spite of the negative impact of the coronavirus pandemic. During the year under review, 66 kilometers of primary roads have been completed, and construction is ongoing on an additional 365 kilometers. The completed roads include 50-kilometer road to Harper to Calocan, and 16 kilometers from Harper Junction to Kavala River. Meanwhile, construction works are ongoing on the following roads: 67-kilometer road from Ganta to Yekepa, 47-kilometer road from San Nicolas to Lokatuo, along the Bomb and the Lofa corridor, 80-kilometer road from Banga to Salaye. In the southeastern corridor, 80-kilometer road from Calocan to Fishtown. Similarly, funding has been received and preparatory work is going on the 45-kilometer highway from Rabat International Airport to the ELWA Junction, and the 6-kilometer road from ELWA Junction to the Coca-Cola factory. A contract has been signed, awarded for a 30-kilometer road from Ganta to Saclay in Nimba County. Additionally, complete study with committed funds are now available for another 131 kilometer roads and procurement process are ongoing. These corridors include 50-kilometer road from Bakleve to Sastan. These corridors include 50-kilometer road from Bakleve to Sastan, in which part of the coastal highway project. Already the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development has approved an initial $50 million for this project. Financing arrangements have also been concluded for the construction of a 20-kilometer road from Fishtown to Kalipo, and a 61-kilometer road from Saclay-Pied to Tapeta. The World Bank has earmarked $55 million for the pavement of the Tapeta-Zwedru highway. Fellow Liberians, in spite of the financial constraint, government has determined to focus attention on various community development projects that will enhance the living standards of our people. Looking ahead in this coming year and beyond, the focus of my government has always been my people and how I can improve their lives. The only way this can be achieved is by moving closer to the communities and working with them directly to empower them economically. To provide basic social services and improve their lives in all aspects. This is clearly the focus of the Pro-Po Agenda for Prosperity and Development. Accordingly, during the year under review, the following community projects were completed and dedicated. The government's intervention into the fire disaster which took place in 2019 in the Popo Beach community on Bourgeois Island initially prompted the construction of 50 housing units for fire victims. The second phase, comprising 39 buildings, was recently completed. The 14 Gorbachev Market, which is situated within the Omega community, Pinsville City, Montserrat County, was successfully completed and dedicated in September last year. The Lango Lepe High School, situated in Kakatan, Mangibi County, and the Kenneja School, situated in Pinsville, moreover, were renovated and dedicated last year. A total of 39 housing units were completed under phase 1 of the Grand Jide housing project, and the barracks at the EBK military base were renovated to improve the living conditions of our men and women in arms. The work on both Kalia and Telia bridges in Pokba district, Grand Kidman County, has finally been completed. Both bridges are expected to benefit 20,000 poor people residing in these remote communities. A special mention must be made of the newly constructed 14 military hospital, which became operational during the year under review. It was very fortunate that government had already taken the initiative to build this facility, that it was readily available and became the main center for the isolation and treatment of patients who tested positive for the coronavirus. The 14 Military Hospital continues to fulfill this role to date and is a key contributor to the relative success of our effort to contain the COVID-19 pandemic. Fellow Liberians, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there is a need for a renewed focus on agriculture, as government is determined to ensure that Liberia has a vibrant agricultural sector to ensure food security and sustainable development. This is an important component of our national development agenda, the Propo Agenda for Prosperity and Development, the PAPD. Everyone must go back to the soil in order to utilize agriculture as a vital tool for the revitalizations of the economy. We have the land, we have the labor, and we have the climate. So let us go back to the soil to grow what we eat and eat what we grow, so that we can reduce our dependence on food imports, create jobs, and increase food security. In this regard, the Ministry of Agriculture will be the focus point to lead and coordinate this drive that should transform the agricultural landscape in Liberia. This is a task that is already on the way, and which will continue to receive the further support of this government. The activities in the agricultural sector will continue to receive my personal attention and the further support of government going forward, so that Liberians will benefit from its full potential as an engine of development, economic growth, and poverty reduction. Mr. Speaker, we intend to continue to lend our support as a government to the expansion of educational opportunities to our citizens. We are encouraged by the impact of our free tuition policy for state-owned universities and colleges. For example, since the implementations of this policy, we have seen enrollment at the University of Liberia more than double, from 8,000 students to 18,000 students. We realize that the payment of Weah'S fees have become a huge burden for parents and students alike. This was causing a negative impact on the learning environment. We therefore put into place a policy whereby the government will assume the responsibility of paying the Weah'S fee for all students. As a result of this intervention, we have seen a significant improvement in learning outcomes. During the period under review, the number of students who passed one subject increased from 71% in 2019 to 82%. Additionally, the numbers of students who pass the threshold of at least 5 subjects increased from 7.9% in the previous year to 15.6%. Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this time to give special recognition and commendation to my dear wife. The First Lady of the Republic of Liberia, Ambassador Claire Marie Deconti Weah, Apart from standing by me as a loyal and caring partner, the First Lady continues to touch the lives of many young women, young men, and the elderly alike through the implementation of several humanitarian projects on her own initiatives. Under the Cloud Hope Foundation, many projects have been directly impacted many Liberians. They include the construction of a home for the elderly and disabled in Buchanan, Grand Bassa County, the rehabilitation of orphanages in several counties, a program to feed the elderly, provision for medical supplies, foreign scholarships for vocational training for young people, amongst many others. I thank you for your hard work and support, Madam First Lady Claire Marie Weah. Mr. Speaker, in the same vein, it has always been my personal passion to help the less fortunate and the needy in society. This is why becoming president of Liberia has not stopped me from performing my goodwill, a humanitarian seeking to transform lives of my young compatriots. For example, under my scholarship programs, which I started early in the 90s, continue to provide support to thousands of students in dozens of high schools, undergraduate university, and graduate and professional schools. We also continue to grant support to young entrepreneurs to give them a head start in business. I, George Manawia, who grew up in the slum of Gibraltar, will never forget my roots and will always continue to seek the welfare of the people. Honorable members of the 54th Legislature, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we continue to remain focused in a relentless drive to make improvements in the energy sector, particularly power and light. In this regard, my government has been proactive in the early realization of the Transcorp CLSG transmission lines from the Ivory Coast, which will make available an additional 225 kilowatts of electricity to amend the supplies from the Mankofe hydroelectric plant. They should make electricity more available and affordable to our citizens and residents. The other benefit of an increase in electrical supply is that it will provide a boost to industrialization and increase the prospects of attracting more foreign direct investment. With the availability of a ready supply of electricity, government has now embarked upon a major project to install street lights in Monrovia. This project is not limited to only the main streets, but in due course will also be extended to cover all communities and the greater Monrovia and our country. Mr. Speaker, direct foreign investment in value-added project is a cornerstone of economic growth for Liberia and an important part of initiatives on the government's pro-poor agenda by creating jobs and stimulating other economic benefits. Significant progress has been made in negotiation with ArcelorMittal Liberia. The goal is to amend the Mineral Development Agreement so that it gives more benefits to the Liberian people and also ensure an additional investment of $800 million United States dollars to execute the second phase of their expansion by constructing a value-added concentrator plant. Once the negotiations are concluded, the executive branch will be submitting a new bill to the legislature proposing an amendment to the AML Mineral Development Agreement to kick-start this investment in 2021. This new AML Phase 2 project, when commissioned and made operational, will produce a superior quality content and triple the quantity of iron ore export. This will represent a very large increase in government revenues from mining and additional construction jobs starting this year. Mr. Speaker, you will recall that in October 2019, the government of Liberia and the government of the Republic of Guinea signed an implementation agreement where the two neighboring countries expressed their common desire to cooperate in order to allow the evacuation of Guinea mining products through Liberia using either existing or new infrastructure in the Yekepa-Bikana corridor. I am pleased to inform you that the government of Liberia has now completed a feasibility study for this project, which has presented a number of viable and bankable options for development of infrastructure in the corridor. These proposals are currently being reviewed by the Inter-Ministerial Committee established under the implementation agreement, and recommendation will be made that when approved by government will result in the early realization of this important binational project. When completed, it will contribute not only to the sub-regional integration of the economies of Guinea and Liberia, but will also strengthen the contributions of the mining sector and related infrastructure to the socio-economic development of both countries. Mr. Speaker, in 2017, Liberia passed the Special Economic Zones Act. Bikana has been proposed by the government of Liberia for the establishment of the Special Economic Zones. In April last year, a feasibility study was funded by the USAID and was presented to various stakeholders. We want to thank the USAID again. We look forward to an early development of the Bikana Special Economic Zone. Liberia understands that investors require greater level of confidence in Liberia's ability to deliver on their investment. We understand that this will require greater transparency and improving our ease of doing business. Today, we commit to making these changes and look to engage with investors, the international community, and other stakeholders to make the necessary improvements. Mr. Speaker, we continue to take targeted steps which are aimed at consolidating the fundamentals of democracy in Liberia, the guarantee of political rights, the other basic freedoms are cardinal principles of democratic governance that my government will continue to uphold at all times. Over the last 3 years, we have created a conducive environment for all to fully participate, irrespective of their political, social, or religious beliefs. The discourse have been devised and loud. The media, political parties, religious groups have all made their voices heard, holding public offices accountable. The just ended national and nationwide senatorial midterm elections serve to further validate our credential as a thriving democratic country. Despite the challenges, the National Election Commission went on to hold one of the most transparent, free and fair and democratic elections conducted. Voters selected their candidates of their choice in order to make the changes to the way they are governed, as enshrined in the Liberian Constitution. During the ensuing months and year, we will take deliberate actions to encourage the kind of participation and view that brings every facet of the Liberian society into the fold of a more inclusive governance. Madam Vice President and President of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Pro Tempore, and members of the 54th Legislature, during this period under review, Liberia continued to foster mutually beneficial ties with our traditional partner, as well as explore new relations with friendly countries based on cooperations and partnership in pursuit of the national interests. Despite the negative effects of the coronavirus disease on the international and global citizens are faced with, the existing threats, normal diplomatic intercourses were drastically curtailed. My administration made noticeable strides on the bilateral and multilateral front, and our relations with our traditional partner remain strong, productive, and mutually rewarding. During the year under review, 17 ambassadors presented their letters of credence. As Liberia currently hosts 23 resident foreign ambassadors in Monrovia, 19 non-resident foreign ambassadors accredited to Liberia, 29 heads of international organizations, and 17 honorary consul general residents in Monrovia. Meanwhile, Liberia continues to maintain 26 diplomatic missions, 2 consulates general spread across Africa, Europe, Asia, the Americas, and the Middle East. Efforts are being exerted to extend our diplomatic representation in the Oceania region, where there is a growing Liberian population, as well as investment and trade opportunities. Mr. Speaker, death is a certainty we do not easily accept. Yet, it comes when we least expect. During the year honor review, we interacted with friends, relatives, and loved ones who we cannot see anymore, but still remember. Some of our illustrious and beloved compatriots who suddenly depart this world for the next, and for whom we pray to the God of mercy and love to grant unto their souls a peaceful repose. Well, the H.E. married and for son, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Ambassadors of the Republic of Liberia to Dakar, Honorable Willa A. G. Russell, former Minister of Transport, former Director General of the General Service Agency, Republic of Liberia, Honorable Jones Wado Blamo, Deputy Director for Operations and VIP Protection Service, National Security Agency, Republic of Liberia. Honorable Emmanuel B. Nyiswa, Director General, Internal Audit Agency. Honorable Reverend Joseph Kaba Gilly, Lever Moton, former Assistant Minister, Public Works. Honorable Dr. Joseph D. Z. Koto, former Minister of Education of the Republic of Liberia. Honorable Mambutu Vla Nyipa, Senior, Minister of Public Works, former Senior Senator of Sano County, the 52nd and the 53rd Legislature. Honorable Noah A.D. Scott, Assistant Minister of Administration and Insurance, Ministry of Transport. Honorable Max M. Denix, former Minister of Youth and Sports, Republic of Liberia. Former Assistant Minister, Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs, Executive Marshal, Republic of Liberia. Honorable Reverend John W. H. McLean, second. Former Minister and Deputy Minister, respectively, as well, Ministry of Planning and Economic Affairs, Republic of Liberia. Mr. Speaker, it has been approximately 3 years since the United Nations Mission Force, the UNMIL, departed from Liberia after serving as the bastion of our national security. Since their departure, we as a government and people have not only maintained the peace, but secure it unbroken. However, peace and security also comes with good governance and adherence to the rule of law. During the period under review, the government has gone to extreme lengths to ensure that the fundamental rights of all citizens were guaranteed under the law. The government will continue to hold on to its responsibility and perform its duty under the Constitution. We therefore want to call on all Liberians, irrespective of your political, ethnic, religious, or social differences, to work in the interest of peace. In this regard, we applaud the efforts of our steadfast partner for the last 75 years, the United Nations and its related agencies, to help build peace, lasting stability, promoting human rights, and promoting development. Over the past year, the United Nations has consistently provided political support and in sustaining peace in our country, as well as coordinate policy programs and operation for peace, consolidation, and delivering on the 2030 agenda for peace, sustainable development goals. Madam Vice President and President of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, and Mr. Pro Tempore, and members of the 54th Legislature, I have duly reported to you on the state of the Liberian nation. And from my report, we can see rightfully conclude that the state of our nation is stable and peaceful. Together, we have shown remarkable resilience in the face of the unprecedented and unforeseen challenges presented to us by the global pandemic. In spite of these challenges, our development drive has not been derailed. We understand some of the personal and collective challenges we face in our lives. We feel the pain you feel on a day-to-day basis as you seek to put bread on your table. I too have felt the pain of hunger and poverty. I have mandated the entire machinery of my administration to recalibrate and enhance the focus on finding lasting solutions to the bread and the better issue facing our people. Therefore, there will be no room for error. I say, therefore, there will be no room for error. There will be no room for laxity. All ministers and officials, please take note. My administration commitment remains unwavering when it comes to the transformational development of Liberia within the framework of an accountable and functional democracy. This is not only my ambitions, this is my determination. In order to do so, however, it will require that you ride to the cause and make your own personal commitment to national development. This is our country. Just as it belongs to all of us, it requires the collective effort of all of us to improve it. No one person can do it for us, and we must not expect anyone from outside to do it for us. As I have often said, I have a vision and I will fulfill my mission. That vision is fully set out and captured in the proper agenda for prosperity and development. And my mission is to fulfill that vision through the development of this country and the betterment of the lives of the Liberian people. So help me God. I thank you. country are looking for.
Of course, this ELBC 99.9 coming to you from the joint chambers of the legislature. His Excellency President George Maynard Weah, with his fourth State of the Nation address. He moves on 9, greets House Speaker Dr. Buffer Chambers, moves on to Vice President Joel Howard Tiller.
Distinguished colleagues.
Following that, he greets the Senate Pro Tem, Albert Chie, and moves on. He will be escorted.
Distinguished colleagues,
moves on to the cabinet.
I will request
members of the cabinet,
the joint committee,
and the Speaker of the House of Representatives and presiding officer
and the House of Representatives
is instructing,
along with the Sergeant Arms of the House of Representatives,
both committees once more to escort His Excellency President George Weah to the rotunda of the Capitol, and there will be.
So we have not yet
Cecilia, it's going to be a little bit of interaction in the rotunda, and so the president will be escorted.
Thank you.
And of course, the members of the legislature. The members of the legislature will conclude this deliberation.
Previously, the rotunda had been set up for the reception, and right now we see the President of the Republic of Liberia greeting the senators, and he just greeted Senator Leighton Chiaje, and he's greeting the representatives also. I see him walking in the aisle, greeting the members of the diplomatic corps, and he's still walking in the aisle, still greeting guests, and as he greets, he passes. So he's on his way out to the rotunda. He's been flung by his securities. He said he's walking through the aisle. And I see him greeting Honorable Solomon George. He just shook his hand. And he's moving. He's walking. As he walks, his security are walking behind him. And he's being escorted out of the joint chambers. And he has just left the joint chambers.
Yes, of course, Cecilia, like you said, the president had a brief stop, of course, and greeting dignitaries who've come to grace this occasion. We'll go back to the platform. House Speaker Dr. Buffer Chambers will continue with the activities here in the joint chambers. This is ELBC coming to you from the joint chambers of the legislature.
Distinguished colleagues, we are still in session.
Yes, of course, this is the point, and so the speaker has just called for calm in the joint chambers.
Madam Vice President, distinguished colleagues, in fulfillment of the requirements set forth in Article 58 of the Liberian Constitution, I will entertain a motion for adjournment of this joint session.
A motion is requested
We would
now.
like to have a motion. We recognize Honorable J. Blabo Brown of the Liberian Senate.
Senator Blabo Brown of Maryland County will make the motion for adjournment.
Mr. Speaker, Your Excellency, Madam Vice President and President of the Senate, distinguished colleagues of the 54th Legislature, having received the annual message of His Excellency, the President of Liberia, and having fully achieved the purpose for which the 4th joint session of the 54th legislature was convened, I, J. Blebo Brown, Senator of Maryland County, move that the 4th joint session of the 54th legislature now be adjourned.
Senator Blebo Brown.
I will recognize the Honorable Josiah Marvin Cole of the House of Representatives.
Bond County Representative Marvin Cole will second this motion for adjournment.
Dr. Buffers Chambers, presiding officer of the joint section, Her Excellency Madam Joel Howard Taylor, Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, in fulfillment of this protocol, since a motion had been filed for adjournment, I, Honorable J. Marvin Cole, Representative of District Number 3, Bond County, do second the motion for adjournment, saying the purpose for the joint section has been met.
He has just seconded the motion.
As the motion to adjourn is a privileged motion and undebatable, I now adjourn this joint legislative session, and it is hereby so ordered.
Speaker Buffer Chambers, following the motion, has adjourned the joint section. And so I would like to say thanks a million to the technical team here. James William, Buffer Lowell, Alexander Waplai, Michael Kai, George S. L. Falai, Emmanuel Yenigo, Christina Flomo, Anthony Williams, and the team from Leteco, Jare C. Colley, Edward Washington, Jacob Tainu, and of course on behalf of the team here at ELBC and LNTV, I'm sure we have to conclude from this end, Cecilia, and get posted from the rotunda.
Yes, this brings to an end the annual message and the session that was convened to usher in the President of the Republic of Liberia. So I've been here with my colleague, Luka Yeager, and the next time you're going to hear us will be from the rotunda of the Capitol. Until then, thank you for listening.
Of course, yes. So to the listeners and our viewers, we are now sending controls to the panel discussion just on the grounds of the Capitol, and the Deputy Director for Road Broadcasting, Asa Gaison Red, will take control. So studio, if you're there, you can just send Cinder out to the panel conversation there.
My fellow citizens, I'm humble and thankful for the trust and hope you have put in me. I'm filled with joy and proud to see so many friends across the world join us in celebrating what is truly an historic moment for our country. I, George, from the Crown and I say, thank you, Yah. My greatest contribution to this country as president did not last in the eloquence of my speeches. But we definitely lie in the quality trust and hope you have put in me. I am filled with joy and proud to see so many friends across the world join us in celebrating what is truly an historic moment for our country. I join from the front and I say thank you, yeah. My greatest contribution to this country as president did not last in the eloquence of my speeches. But will definitely lie in the quality of the decision that I will make. My fellow citizens, I am humble and thankful for the trust and hope you have put in me. I am filled with joy and proud to see so many friends across the world join us in celebrating what is truly an historic moment for our country. I join from the front and I say thank you, yeah. My greatest contribution to this country as president did not last in the eloquence of my speeches. But will definitely lie in the quality of the decision that I will make.
Come on.
I'm talking about documents.
Studios. Okay, I did live. Yeah, I can talk about, especially in the economy.
My fellow citizens, I am humble and thankful for the trust and hope you have put in me. I am filled with joy and proud to see so many friends across the world join us in celebrating what is truly an historic moment for our country. I join from the front and I say thank you, yeah.
to this country.
Eddie Garnett.
As president, did not last in the eloquence of my speeches. But will definitely last in the quality of the decision that I will make.
Let's listen to the State of the Nation's address delivered by His Excellency Dr. George Weah, President of the Republic of Liberia. Here as the lead host, sandwiched between four young persons here in government, namely Harry Atro-Konie is an expert on management and strategy consultant. And specifically, when we're looking at the economy, right beside Harry Atro-Konie is Governor Clinton. Governor Clinton, my understanding, is the senior technical advisor to the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs. I'm also here with Ishaka M. Sharif, Assistant Minister for Research and Planning. And then finally, on the panel is Honorable F. Smith Jr., Deputy Director General Information and Coordination at Ministries. And we're going to be looking at the aftermath of the President's State of the Nation address. But first, my name is Kelvin Demi. I represent Prime Communications in Networking Company, Prime FM 95.5. I'd like to say good evening, gentlemen. First of all, let's start with Harry Atro-Konie.
Good evening, Kevin, and thanks for the opportunity to come and talk about the state of our nation. I'm excited to be here, and I look forward to a more productive
My fellow citizens, I am humble and thankful for the trust and hope you have put in me. I am filled with joy and proud to see the President.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Good evening. Good evening to the listening audience in Radio Land. I'm super excited to be here. The maiden edition. The platform is very colorful, the scenery, and we are ready to go.
And of course, my name is Kelvin. I'm your lead moderator. Of course, the State of the Nation was premised and it started on the economic footing. And so we would like to start up with Harry Atro-Konie. Harry Atro-Konie, with extensive background in research on the economy. So Harry, you care to give us a picture of the President's State of the Nation address in relation to the economy?
Again, Kevin, thanks for the opportunity. I think the President was unequivocal. The President was clear about the status of the Liberian economy. The President acknowledges the challenges that the economy has faced over the last 2 years. And the President was clear about the compelling factors and forces that drove growth downward, right? And the President told you about the different shock that happened previously before his government was inaugurated. We had the Ebola crisis. We had commodity price took a nosedive, affecting the demand for Liberia's major exports. We also had the drawdown of United Nations mission in Liberia. And so those were compelling and demanding factors that drove the Liberian economy from 2014 to 2016 into successive economic recession. So we had zero growth, we subsequently had negative growth. And so the president was clear that what you saw happen in 2018 and 2019 was basically an outburst, right? An outburst of what happened from 2014 up to 2016. And so the president also acknowledged, right, the COVID impact on the Liberian economy. And so at the time, different international organizations, the IMF, the World Bank, they've projected that the Liberian economy was about to grow in 2020, and then we were hit by the COVID pandemic. And not just Liberia, but all countries around the world. We had global recession, somewhere around 5.